welcome to Checkpoint, where we talk about games and stuff. I'm here with Chris and Becky, and we want to go over a few things with you. The first thing we want to talk about is the leaked video of the first 20 minutes of Elder Scrolls. So, if you haven't already noticed, you won't find it unless if it's probably on Pirate Bay or who knows where, but it's pretty much off of every mainstream site. So I did get a chance to see it though, and I wanted to see what you guys thought on what you seen of it.
From what I have heard, and I didn't get a chance to watch more than probably 20 seconds of it, but a lot of the feedback that people have been giving is that, oh, it's a generic MMO and it looks like every other one of these and it doesn't look all that great, and etc., etc. But, I mean, to that, I always want to remind these people that, you know, these are leaked beta photos or video. You know, it's not aimed, you know, it's not in a ready state for the public to consume it yet. So the idea of judging this game based on a pre-beta
Right.
is not fair to them. And a lot of people tend to forget that.
Exactly.
So it's something I think a lot of people miss. But from what I've heard, you know, it looks and acts like Elder Scrolls, and it's a little bit more oriented toward action combat instead of your just target and click like you're used to in, you know, other popular MMOs.
Right, right. No, you brought up a good point with that. So what do you
I
think?
didn't actually get to see it. It was taken down before I got the opportunity to take a look at it, but I mean, from what Chris has told me, it looks really great. I mean, I'll probably try it. I don't know, I have a very similar view to Chris, is that it's just a beta. You know, it probably shouldn't have been released in the first place, so it's kind of hard to pass judgment on a game that, you know, we maybe shouldn't have seen in the first place so far, so.
Exactly. I mean, hey, you guys bring up a huge point there, and it's something that I've always seen in every beta that I'm in. It never fails, something gets leaked, or even if you get the opportunity to get into a beta, it's typically not the same when it becomes retail. Prime example, Defiance, just here recently when it dropped. I think the intro, because I was in closed beta, intro was done 2 or 3 different times by the time it actually made it to retail. So I think people are easy to jump to conclusions, and that's why I think the beta part of the industry is really hurting right now, because everybody jumps into the beta just to try it, and then the beta, you know, they just get discouraged. It's like, oh, I don't like that game because it's not what I think it is. It's just like, wow.
Well, a lot of people are used to, it's like, oh, this game's coming out now, pre-purchase and get in the beta. So people are starting to get this mentality that, oh, it's a beta, which means everybody can look at it and see it and play it and see what's going on. And it's not really the way it is, but there is a trend with some games in that way, and you have to kind of disconnect that because not every developer is ready for that. I mean,
Right.
You almost need like a third word where you're not really doing an open beta. You know, you need like a third symbol to kind of characterize what that is, as opposed to what was actually going on there.
Right.
I would think maybe.
Well, the thing is betas were way different 10 years ago. You know, when I beta tested Star Wars Galaxy, it was god-awful. I mean,
Exactly.
I still played for 2 years after it was released, but if people took the games of what it was, let's just say 10 years ago, those games would have never been played, because they're nowhere near polished, as opposed to like Rift or Defiance or any of those that recently have come out. People just, I mean, closed beta for EVE Online was horrible. I got in, literally sat in my ship and couldn't move. For 2 weeks in beta, in closed beta, I couldn't move. And it was something to do with my graphics card, and they couldn't figure it out because back then, troubleshooting and support was not like it is today. So, you know, people were not as savvy on the forums. People were not, it's just, yeah, it's totally different, and I think people are just way too easy to jump to conclusions right off the bat. It's like, oh, I seen it, it's the same as this.
There were some neat things in that video. I know that they talked about, or I don't know if they were in the video, but just in general, they have some of the classes that are out there. You have like a Dragon Knight, which sounds like your warrior, and you have your Templar, which sounds like your Paladin, and then you have some kind of mage class. So I imagine it'll probably follow that format. It would be neat if they would allow slight class customization in the way that they've done in other Elder Scroll games, where you basically, like, you're not picking, it's like, okay, I'm a warrior. It's like, okay, I'm a mage. You know, it's like, I am this person. And then as you go out and use your abilities, you level up through that.
Right.
Kind of to give you flexibility. I would not say it's exactly like what Final Fantasy is proposing, but similar to that, and that you get one character that's a little bit more flexible. And I think that would be interesting to see if they go that route or not.
Right.
Since that would be traditionally what the Elder Scrolls games have been like, but it's not the same as an MMO, so you have to make adaptations.
Yeah. Well, and they've said that it's going to be Elder Scrolls with just multiplayer capability. So I would assume that they want to stay with the concept that they've come up with so far. So
I would be more enticed to play it if they kept that kind of, kept that kind of linear coverage of what Elder Scrolls actually is, but within an MMO would be really cool.
Right.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
People tend to take a new MMO and they try to hammer it into the existing, mold of an MMO. Things like Rift and WoW and all that, I mean, they're great, they're fantastic, but if you try to be too much exactly like them, you're just going to get compared to them and you're going to fail because those games are established in the industry.
Yep. All right, well, the next thing that we want to talk about is Injustice release for tomorrow. I've seen a lot of footage on this. I brought it up in a couple other conversations that I've had online as well. I myself am not that interested in this. I just feel it's another Mortal Kombat, and that, it's, I don't know, I left that behind back in 1999. I mean, that's the thing. It's great that it's got awesome graphics and it's got DC comic characters, but what else can you do with that?
I mean, I suspect there are going to be two markets of people that this is going to be looking at. I mean, there's a pretty significantly sized fighting game community, people that are into Street Fighter, games like that. And those people will take this one way. They'll say like, oh, well, this game isn't expansive enough, or it doesn't compare, it's not as responsive, or whatever it is those people look for in one of those games. And then you've got the other group of people who is like, oh, it's Marvel or DC or whatever these types of games are, and it's like, I'm interested in playing comic book games, even if it's a fighter game, it's like, that's fine with me. And I think that you're not looking to find somebody that's interested, outside of those two groups, so we'll have to wait and see how those two groups react to it. I'm sure it's probably fun. It's just, you can only play those things kind of so much, and they're really a lot more fun in multiplayer, particularly in local multiplayer. So it's I would think it'd be more successful probably on the Xbox and PS3 than it would be on a PC, at least unless you have a group of friends online that play it, obviously, that you can do too. But I found that fighting games are more fun in person multiplayer than they are online for whatever reason.
Punch the person next to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
For
Violence
sure.
is bad, kids.
That's why you play those games, right?
Yeah.
But it should be interesting, and it'd be fun to just be Batman and beat up people. I mean,
It would be.
I would assume that he's in that game. You can't imagine,
Yeah.
a fighter game without Batman.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing right now. If I remember correctly, on Twitter, they're doing a finale with Batman versus Superman right now. So it's kind of like a big...
Batman.
Yeah.
Batman is great. Superman
I know there's no
outclasses him a little bit.
Well, it's
So
not the
it's
same
not-
kind of. It's not the same kind of superhero, right?
Batman is
Right.
just a really
Batman's
strong and
not-
talented guy. Superman can go into the sun and be fine.
Batman's
I mean-
more of a manufactured superhero than Superman is. Born in, I'm an actual super being superhero.
Right.
Not that Batman's not a superhero, but he's.
It's a different
He's just
class.
a normal person, but with,
Yeah.
you know,
Now, I could see
money.
Wonder Woman versus Superman.
That would be.
I mean, Superman still should be able to take her, but she should be able to give him a run for his money compared to Batman.
Yeah.
But Well, you know, Superman has his weaknesses, so, and Batman knows how to play on those, so.
A more fair thing would be like, you know, Batman versus Joker. I don't know if they have villains you can play in that or not.
Yeah.
If it's all
Yeah,
okay.
it's got like Quinn in it, and it's got Joker, and it's got, you know, pretty much all the major
Mhm.
characters.
Quinn versus Joker would be good. I would watch that fight.
I would watch that fight.
Quinn is pretty sweet. Like, she does this, the one clip I seen, she slides underneath them and she drops like this, looks like a cake or something underneath them, and she lights it, and it blows them up, and they just, like, you know, it shoots them up in the air and stuff. It's kind of cool. I mean, Wonder Woman's got this ability where she can go through and hit them up in the air, and then she can lasso them and then pull them back down. And Superman, now this one was way early. I don't know if they ended up keeping it or not, but Superman can, like, shoot them way up in the air, up into space, and then he flies after them and he hits them down, and you come down and fly through these floors.
And I'm sure they'll
another
continue to
arena.
fight like that didn't kill them, you know,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Exactly, yeah. They're superheroes. Come on, man. They never die. Except for Bane, you know. He won't die to Superman, but he'll die to Bane. Or get crippled.
Yeah.
So, but. Anything else?
I think I'm good on that one.
Yeah, that one's really kind of, it's rough.
I'm
it's
sure
a
it'd be
fighter
fun. I
game.
don't know if I'd be interested in spending money on that personally, but I'm sure that some people would enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem going to the arcade and playing it. Dumping $2-3 into the arcade to play it, but I don't know about $60 to go and buy it. And then there's a collector's edition, $150 so you can get the joystick. I'm like, joystick, cool, but I'm not gonna spend $150 for a fighter game. I mean, it's
That's
crazy.
a bit much for me, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, don't
Maybe
get
that's
me
your
wrong. I've paid my fair share of collector's editions, but man, that one's a rough one. So, all right. The next thing that we want to go over is the Marvel Heroes beta that was this weekend. So, I got invited. Unfortunately, I had to work this weekend, so I could not play. But everything that I've kept up on for gameplay and things like that, it's virtually Diablo 3 with multiplayer. And I know Diablo 3 is, like, you can have your friends join and stuff, but this is, you're on a map and you will see your friends. They don't have to come join you into your channel or server or whatever. It's open world, but Diablo style. And you have Wolverine, Iron Man, I'm trying to think of some of the others that I've seen, Deadpool, Storm. I want to say there's about 20 or 25 superheroes you can play with. And it seems like they're doing a skilling where you go through. It's very similar to Diablo style. You'll get different skills and stuff. Like Iron Man can, like, fly, but he floats, and I kind of feel bad for the guy because he only gets to float in the air. But I mean, he flies around, but he's only 3 feet off the ground because of
You want to, I mean,
limitation,
in any one of these games, when you're looking at superheroes, like, yeah, you can take guys like Thor and Iron Man and all these people. It's like, well, yeah, you can play this, but what if you give them the real abilities to fly around and all that? Like, let's say you wanted to play, like, Hawkeye or something. It's like, well, you can't fly at all now. All you can,
Right.
you know, you can't do that at all. So, I mean, it would take away the popularity of other classes if some of them had their native abilities. So I think that they're going to have, I mean, there's probably some loose story written in as to why they don't fly around like crazy or for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But I think the big thing is, like, with any of these dungeon crawlers like that, and I mean, there's two different ways. You know, you go I mean, I don't think there's going to be any real money auction house, so it's probably a little more akin to, like, Torchlight, things like that. I don't know if it'll do mods or whatever, but it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's using that individual loot system where your drops are your drops and everybody else's are separate from that, which is great. I think that was something that was really, really awesome about Diablo 3, and I'm glad that they're going that way. But you don't have to sit and fight with other people about it or have people ninjaing from you. The one thing I would be curious to see is that in games like Torchlight and Diablo and such, as people join your party into your game, the difficulty of the mobs escalates upward.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in an open MMO setting, as for one of these things, which is great, but how are they going to deal with that? Like, as people run in to help kill whatever you're attacking, like, is it going to get more difficult? Is there like a radius which it detects players for that? Is it going to stay the same? I mean, it's kind of hard.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if those answers are out there or not. But
Yeah,
I'd be curious to know.
I've seen some of the boss fights, and they're interesting. I mean, Green Goblin I watched, and basically he did like this fly around thing, and he'd drop bombs, and he'd throw bombs too. And you had to stay out of the poison, you know, the concept, stay out of
the bad.
the green stuff or the the bad stuff. So it does have that, and it seems like it's almost like WoW style. I mean, there's strategies to these boss fights, which is good because then it gives a challenge, I guess, to the game, and then it makes it more rewarding when you do take the boss down. But it is, again, I mean, Green Goblin only flies like 3 feet off the ground. So
This invisible ceiling. They can't go up, they keep hitting their heads.
So I think they've done a very good job with it. It's just, I was just kind of making fun of it a little with that. But the concept is great. I like that it is not Diablo where they're going to make me level to 35 levels or whatever, and then I have to replay it another 3 more times until I make it to level cap.
Yeah, I've always been kind of just okay with that whole thing. It felt like Diablo 3 should have... And I understand that that's part of what made Diablo 2 great, but for that game particularly, it didn't really work because it was basically easy, and then slam your face into a brick wall hard.
Right.
They did not scale the difficulty well.
No.
So it's fine if you want to have several difficulty levels as long as they're escalatingly more difficult instead of just flatline and then go straight upward to
Right.
do that. And I don't think that they'll make that mistake because I think that everybody kind of saw that and will not do that. I would hope,
Oh, I hope so,
as
too.
far as that sort of thing goes.
Yeah.
I just think that this game, I have a feeling that it's going to do well because they're taking what is a really popular kind of game with the dungeon crawler and putting in popular characters that everybody really loves to play,
Right.
loves to watch, loves to do their abilities like Iron Man and, Thor and all that kind of stuff. And they're improving on what Diablo 3 maybe didn't do so well or what Torchlight maybe didn't do so well. So I'm interested in playing it. I'll probably watch some footage first to see what the finished game actually looks
Is
like.
there going to be a subscription?
No, it's free to play. So,
We'll
yeah,
see.
I believe they're going to go the same, cash route like every other game.
I have mixed opinions on freemium games like that. As long as it's, you're paying for things like skins
And that's what it
paint and all
sounds
that
like.
stuff. As long as you're not, it's like, well, you can either level to 20 to get this ability, or you can pay $5 to have it now. That stuff always irked me. I was like,
Yeah.
so really, like, if you're gonna do that, just charge me $30, $40, and I'll just pay for the game.
Right.
So I can have all those things unlocked when appropriate. But
Right. All right, and the last thing that we wanted to bring up today is Grind 2 multiplayer. Now, I know this is something that you guys haven't seen a ton of. I recently wrote a blog on it just this last weekend. I'm super stoked for it. It's been a while since I've been excited for a racing game. Basically, this is Need for Speed with Black Ops 2 type, or it kind of gives me that feel because you have that multiplayer setup, and then I can go into these different types of challenges, which is kind of like how Black Ops has. They have these different types of challenges. So, endurance is one with this. You go 5 minutes, however long you can go, but then the track changes randomly. I mean, that's awesome. That's something that, especially for multiplayer, when people that all they do is play these video games all day long, that they sit and literally memorize a track over and over and over and over and over, and it's like, how do I even compete against that? Especially in an endurance race when I have to go 5 minutes. So them doing a randomizer on it is just, I mean, it's awesome. But along with that, they're also creating it's called RaceNet, and it's basically creating a community for these people. So you're going to have a website just like how Black Ops has. You're going to have a ranking system. You can go through, and the system will go through and rank you to whoever is out there, kind of like the World of Warcraft arena team setup. So when you go to, get set up for your weekly challenges, it's going to match you to who it thinks is going to be the best opponent. So you're not going to get, your level or rank 1200 and you're going up against rank 2. It doesn't make sense to do that. I mean, there's a reason why that person is rank 2.
Those are largely successful. I know that sometimes that can get slightly abused. If you play League of Legends, you'll see that somebody playing their level 30 character,
Yes.
logging into their level 2 account, so it pairs you against people that... It's like, yeah, those people, according to level, should be at your level, but aren't always. They've sometimes gotten around those kind of limitations by locking it to your account name so that you can't do that, but at the same time, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of them saying you can only have one account and we're only allowing you to do this, because then you feel like you're being restricted by the game at the same time.
Well, it is console, so it's going to be just like your Black Ops and stuff like that. So you are locked down to what you log in, your sign-in profile.
It probably won't be too bad then in that case.
Yeah.
My experience with racers tends to be limited to things like Mario Kart. So if there's big blue shells, that'd be fantastic. But no, other than that, I like the idea of a ranked multiplayer system, because there are some people that are really, really, really into racing games.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watch these people on Twitch or anything like that, it's nuts to watch them how good they are.
Right.
So the average player, like me, who wants to just try it, gets smoked by these kind of people, and it's not fun, because it's like, well, I can't possibly win unless I spend 80 hours a week learning how to do this better, and I just don't have that kind of time.
Right.
So I like the ranking system because it tends to make, like you said, more similarly skilled players together, and that makes it more fun, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I used to play Need for Speed long time ago.
Yeah.
Need for Speed Underground 2 was the one kind of racing game I ever played, and I like them. I agree with Chris that if I were to jump into one of those games right now, I would get obliterated. It wouldn't even be funny. But, it sounds like they maybe are kind of figuring it out on how it should be set up as far as ranking and that kind of thing goes. And, hey, if it works out better for the people who like to play it, then, good for them. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank Chris and Becky for joining me today. Thank you guys for joining us today. I just want to let you guys know you can follow us on Twitter at non_elites. And you can also find us on Facebook at non-elites. And also you can find us on our website if you want to read any blogs or any reviews. It's going to be www.nonelites.com. So don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you guys later.